I have to get a pair of shoes on.
6-year-old Bindi Falcomer is like any other child.
Brushing her hair.
She loves to have fun and play with her 3-year-old sister, Silver.
Let's take a look here.
One of their favorite pastimes is playing doctor.
Heartbeat is perfect.
This is a role Bindi knows well.
Beep, beep.
She has spent some time in the hospital and has seen many doctors. The visits began when Bindi was 3. That's when her parents noticed some changes in their daughter's behavior.
The first incident was upstairs in the kitchen. She missed her mouth with her spoon. And she just kind of, when her arm came up, she kind of went like that.
And then I started noticing that she was dragging her foot a little bit. And that's when it sunk in my heart that something may have been wrong.
Well, we went to the chiropractor first.
When he checked her out, he looked to see if both eyes were dilated. And when he checked, he said her left eye was not dilated. So that told me immediately. And even before I went to the chiropractor, I had already knew in my heart that I was going to be at the hospital that night. I just knew something was not right.
So Melissa and Gantz took Bindi to a local hospital. There they did a CAT scan.
About 5 minutes later, 2 doctors had came in with white coats. And then I knew something was wrong. And I immediately started crying.
They said she had a brain tumor, and it was very, very large. And they needed to take her to Hershey as soon as possible.
Then they told me they were wanting to take her by helicopter and that I couldn't go. And that really hurt. That I had to literally say goodbye. And she sat there and said, "Mom, it's going to be okay. They're going to take care of me, Mom, and I'll see you in the other building." And I'm just...
Well, I remember going on the helicopter.
What was that like?
That was loud.
At Penn State Children's Hospital, Bindi's parents met pediatric neurosurgeon Dr. Mark Diaz.
Well, I told them that she had an enormous right-sided tumor involving almost 3/4 of the right side of her head. I told them that I didn't know what kind of tumor that it would be. It could be a malignant tumor or it could be a benign tumor.
So the plan was to remove the tumor.
During her surgery, I did a lot of thinking and just laying there and hoping that she was going to make it through this.
I guess you gotta hide it a little bit, but it's definitely rough. That's for sure.
Well, we did an operation in which we got in there and started to core out the tumor. You find the walls of the tumor and then you go into the center, and it's sort of an inside-out operation. So once you're in the tumor, you start to remove the inside, working your way from the center out toward the periphery to try and avoid damaging the brain.
When she came out, then that's where all the questions, through my head. Well, what is it? Well, is it gone? And, all these questions.
I was able to get out the bulk of the tumor, and what we have left is a thin rim of tumor that goes around the deepest parts of where the tumor has been. And those are areas that are abutting the most critical structures of the brain here that are causing Bindi to be able to move the left side of her body. We also knew at the surgery, because we did a biopsy and had our pathologist look at it, that it was benign.
The next step was to take care of the tumor that was unable to be removed surgically.
We then explore what other treatments we could do to try to control this tumor.
And so we talked about a number of options, the best of which was chemotherapy.
The family ultimately chose to have her receive monthly chemotherapy that was IV through a vein. It was called carboplatin. And then she would come in, she would get some IV fluid, get the chemotherapy, a little more IV fluid, and then she would be able to go home. She didn't have to stay in the hospital to receive this therapy.
She had fun going up there because they gave her Barbie dolls every time we came in, and they make a a pillowcase, and they put it on the pillow for her every time she comes in.
So we did that for a year, 1 time a month, so a total of 12 treatments. She did great. She wasn't compromised. Her appetite didn't change. Her energy didn't change.
So the goal of this chemotherapy is to stop further tumor cells from growing, to shrink it.
And during that time, the tumor shrunk a little bit, not a huge amount, but most importantly, it didn't grow. It didn't get larger.
And then I'd say about 8 months after that, she would have normal MRIs every 3 months, and it just seemed to be getting smaller and smaller. So we were very, we were on the right track. We were happy with it. I was thinking, okay, it's just going to disappear, and of course it didn't.